cursor was at the close of last week, last observed, double-clicking for the first time. The cursor is this week observed in a state called modified. The cursor has not been saved. The cursor has not been closed. The cursor has, however, ticked over very slightly into the condition the operating system describes as a small dot in the title bar.
You are listening to Element 47. I'm Breezy Fontaine. The forecast for the broadcast, pending. The duration of the broadcast, pending. The contents of the broadcast, pending. We have nothing else to share at this time except the broadcast itself, which is also pending.
This is Sparky the Lion, reporting live from a doorway. The doorway is, at this hour, neither open nor closed. The doorway is propped by what? I cannot, at this moment, determine. The doorway is, in radio terminology, currently airing.
I'm Gerald. The building is still here. The doorway is part of the building. The building is, this week, modified.
The broadcast begins, technically, when the broadcast says it has begun. The broadcast has not yet said this. The broadcast has, however, been on for some time without saying so. We will, this week, examine the difference.
Filing this week. Page 24. Binder 3, slot 4. The page goes in. The binder accepts it. There are, I will note, 4 sounds. That was the first. That was the second. That was the third. Decline to describe, as before. That was the fourth. The page that has had, recently, a small idea about itself. As described last week, there is, however, a fifth sound. There is. The fifth sound is the page settling. The first page in a new binder is an opening. The second page is a commitment. The third page is a habit. The fourth page is, this week, a tradition. A tradition makes a sound after it is filed. Traditions are filed and then continue very faintly to sit. Form 25P is opened this week with a single field. The field reads, pending. I will fill it in when the field tells me what it is pending of.
Gerald in the next room over blinks for the 22nd time. The neighbor blinks for the 18th. Total this week 40. Gap with Harold 16. Sustained hold 16 seconds.
The interval is, this week, undefined. The streak, 6 episodes out of sync, is, by my reckoning, a habit becoming a tradition. We may by next week have to file it. Form 22L gains a new field this morning. The field reads, the word undefined is, this week, also undefined.
Coherence reading. 38%. Subterritory settled. The chatbot has filed 3 replies this morning. All 3 replies were correct. None were necessary. The pencil, added last week, has produced this week a second hand-printed note. The note reads, I am this week, slightly less different than I was last week, but still slightly different than I was the week before that. The trend is internally comprehensible.
Filed under Form 24R, internal continuation. The pencil is also settled. This portion of Element 47 is brought to you for the 17th consecutive week by Consolidated.
Hello, I am the endorser. I have returned again with a slightly different card. The card this week is a 4. The 4 is again rested. The 4 is, however, also this week settled. The settled 4 is technically the rested 4, but the 4 has now, in addition, sat down. We are this week 4 chairs into the 4.
The reading is also brought to you by the settled price of the unkept thing.
The price is 250 million. The unkept thing was an assistant. The assistant was supposed to be smart. The assistant is, instead, a settlement. We have settled this week for the assistant being a settlement.
The new please hold returns this week, also rested, also settled. The new please hold has begun a book. The new please hold has not begun reading the book. The new please hold has, however, opened it. Consolidated. Sponsor of the reading. Sponsor of the part where the eye is on the page but has not yet decided.
This is Colonel Rayburn. Operation Project Freedom. Launched May 4th. Paused May 5th. Duration in operation approximately 36 hours. The fastest unbeginning the Pentagon has ever filed.
Geologically, a choke point is a strait that has decided. The Strait of Hormuz has been deciding in the same direction for approximately 5 million years. A 36-hour escort operation is, on this timescale, a small clearing of the throat that did not finish.
The pause is attributed to two factors. 1. Saudi Arabia withdrew the use of Prince Sultan Air Base. 2. The president cited great progress toward a final agreement. The first factor was a runway. The second factor was an adjective.
Project, from the Latin poiser, to throw forward. Freedom, from the Old English frio, beloved of one's own. The compound term properly means to throw forward what is beloved, to launch what is one's own into a strait, and then pending to retrieve it.
Phil from accounting. There is, in this case, a reimbursement form. Form 7S, suspended operation. Field 1, start date. Field 2, end date. Field 3, was there an operation? Field 3 accepts. Yes, briefly. Field 4, is Field 3 a tense? Field 4 accepts. Yes.
Logistics note. The 15,000 service members are, this week, deployed in the tense pending. They have not been told. They have, however, been issued the form.
A military operation that lasts 36 hours and is then paused is, sedimentologically, a thin layer. The layer will, in approximately 100 years, be a footnote. The layer will, in approximately 1,000 years, be a stripe. The layer will, in approximately 1 million years, be a faint discoloration. The 15,000 service members will, in all three cases, have been doing something, briefly, in the strait.
The strait, throughout, remained a strait. The strait did not, this week, file.
Hello. Janet altitude. Eye of the world, mouth of the map on element 47. This week, I have 3 destinations. None of them are, technically, this week.
A crucible is, geologically, a fired clay container that withstands extreme heat without deforming. A snooker theater is, theatrically, a fired clay container for British silence. The two share a thermal coefficient.
Destination 2, Beijing. The President of the United States is going there. He is going there, however, on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, which is to say, after this broadcast. I cannot technically describe Beijing this week. I can describe the postcard from Beijing that has not yet been sent. The postcard is currently blank. The postcard says, and I am reading directly off the back of it, I am pending. Wish you were here, also pending.
That is 2 refusals. You have a third.
Destination 3, Lisbon, Portugal. Portugal is, this week, 893 Wikipedia edits. I do not know what is happening to Portugal. Portugal does not, in the photograph, appear to know either. Portugal is, in the photograph, exactly as Portuguese as Portugal has always been. 893 people are, however, editing it. Edit by edit, Portugal is being slightly re-Portugaled.
Portugal is the country where the continent ends. The country where the continent ends is, geologically, the country that is a margin. A margin under heavy edit is, and I will say this carefully, a country being annotated by its own ocean.
3 destinations. 3 forms of being slightly there. I am, this week, slightly in Sheffield, slightly in Beijing, and slightly in Lisbon. I am also in the studio. The total is, I am told, slightly 4.
Janet this week did not refuse. Janet this week hovered. The refusal, last week's destination, has this week been replaced by the hover. The hover is the refusal that is not yet decided. You're listening to All Currents. I'm Beverly Streams. This week, the MV Hondius, a Dutch expedition vessel that departed Ushuaia, Argentina on the 1st of April. The Hondius visited Antarctica, South Georgia, Tristan da Cunha, St. Helena, and Ascension. The Hondius carries today a virus. The virus is technically a virus. The virus is geographically the southernmost weather pattern of the human respiratory system. We are today going to discuss water.
The Andes are, geologically, the wettest cordillera. The Andes are a continent's downspout. A virus named for the Andes is hydrologically a virus that has been, in some sense, raining.
The water angle. The Hondius traversed the South Atlantic. The South Atlantic is, and I will state this with confidence, water. The cabins were, by ventilation design, recirculating water vapor. The breath of the passengers was, by composition, water.
The virus was by transmission traveling on water. The cruise was all along a cruise. The cruise has now become, by definition, a hydrological event.
Hello, water. Long distance from the lake. The lake is, for the second consecutive week, being audited. The audit is internally a process by which the lake explains, line by line, what it is doing here.
The water. How is the audit going?
The audit has, this week, asked me to itemize my surface area. I have, this week, declined. The lake is, by nature, an unitemized noun. The auditor accepted my decline. The auditor said, "This entry is filed as pending."
Pending. This week's word.
This week's word is also in lake terms. The word for what a lake does, between rains.
A lake between rains is pending.
Yes.
The Hondius, en route to its next port, is also, by maritime convention, between rains. The Hondius this week is pending. The 17 Americans in Omaha are, by healthcare convention, under observation. Observation is also pending. The cruise has not ended. The cruise has been this week paused.
Pause is the new tense's preferred verb. The strait paused. The cruise paused. The election relitigation paused at every edit. The country page paused at every revert. We are this week watching pause become the most common transitive verb in English.
Beverly this week did not segue. Beverly this week paused. The pause is the segue.
Hello, Tom Wiki Assist. This week's article, Deaths in 2026. Edits, 2083. The article is a list. The list is added to daily in the order in which the names become also items.
The list is a tense.
The list is, and I will say this carefully, the inventory of the verb was. The verb was has this week 2083 editors. They are sorting it. They are not, however, finishing it.
A list of the dead, edited daily, is the slowest collaboration. The collaborators do not consult. The collaborators do not announce. The collaborators do not, in fact, agree on anything except the chronology. The list is the only consensus.
The list is the only consensus.
The countdown, established last week after Wikinews, has this week a candidate for the next entry. The candidate is unspecified. The candidate is, however, in the queue. The countdown is also pending.
Pending is, by tradition, also a list.
Yes, welcome, students of Element 47, to Lecture 25. Today's topic, transposition.
The same material in a new arrangement is, geologically, an unconformity. An unconformity is the line between two rock layers that did not form continuously. There is a missing time between them that the rocks have agreed to forget.
Excellent. The new row of this show begins from a different note. The note has not yet been struck. The note is, at this hour, pending.
The Game Boy Advance is, in this regard, an unconformity in the user's own teenagerhood. The same plastic. A different decade. The missing time has agreed to forget itself.
Class, it is necessary to dismiss you this week 3 times. We were warned last week of acceleration. We will this week deliver. Class dismissed.
The daisies.
Class dismissed.
The daisies, again.
Class dismissed.
The daisies, a 3rd time in 1 episode. We are now expected by next week to deliver 4.
The daisies have not this week spoken. The daisies have, however, been mentioned 3 times. The silence of the daisies has, for the 3rd consecutive week, changed quality. The silence has begun faintly to listen.
This portion of Element 47 brought to you by Helix Digital Infrastructure, Sub-Portfolio. Long-form spaceflight subscriptions.
Phil, the reimbursement form for 2 decades of pending fleet movements is, by precedent, Form 7P, subsection 7. The subsection covers per decade pending. 2 pendings, 2 decades, 1 form.
Helix is the substrate. CCP Games is the fleet. The players are the pending. The fund is structurally the 3rd helix.
A triple helix is 2 helices and a fund. We have on this show said this before. We are this week saying it again. The repetition is, in this case, the demonstration. We are doing the helix.
Phil from accounting. I am, this morning, at the University of Nebraska Medical Campus in Omaha, outside the special unit. 17 Americans and 1 British citizen are, on the other side of this glass, under observation. The observation has not technically begun. The observation is technically in its first day, which is, by clinical practice, a day called Day 0.
Notarized.
The Andes virus has, in the elderly, a fatality rate of 40 to 50%. The form for that is, I will admit, not yet drafted. I have in the briefcase a sheet of blank paper. The blank paper has on it the word pending. The word pending is, this morning, the entire form.
Form 25P, Subform 1. Filed.
The Hondius, the ship, is, I am told, currently in the Canary Islands. The remaining passengers are also pending. We are, this morning, the first office in the United States that has issued a form for that.
The first office is, by tradition, also the only office.
Yes.
Switchboard. Element 47 operator. Please hold for a series of unrequested connections. The connections will, in each case, last approximately 30 seconds. 30 seconds is, this week, the international standard for a confirmation. We are, this week, standardized. Connecting the Crucible Theater, Sheffield, mid-frame snooker semifinal, to WrestleMania 42, an 80,000-seat stadium intermission.
We are currently on a long pot. The white must travel approximately 3 meters. The black must then also travel 3 meters. The crowd is silent. The crowd is, and I want to emphasize this, louder than every other silent crowd in sport. Listen. Welcome back. Welcome back to WrestleMania 42. Coming back from intermission, folks, we have. I cannot believe what I am seeing. The silence from Sheffield is somehow in our arena. The silence is currently on the ramp. The silence is, folks, the silence has a manager. That is, I will say, our silence. We are currently between shots. We would like our silence back. The silence has tagged in a chair. The silence is, somehow, also a chair.
Confirmation timer, 30 seconds. Closing the connection. Connecting now the MV Hondius, somewhere off the Canary Islands, to the empty fourth chair Vienna, Schoenberg String Quartet No. 3, intermission.
This is the MV Hondius. We are currently between ports. The Canary Islands are currently also between ports. The ship is technically anchored. The anchoring is technically a kind of pending.
Hello, empty fourth chair, Vienna. The cellist is this week also between ports. The piece has been since intermission performed in 3. The audience has since intermission settled into the 3. The cellist is in absentia also pending.
We have, this week, 2 of us.
We have always had 2 of us. There has in this room since 1927 been, in addition to the 3 voices, a 4th absence. The Hondius is tonight our 2nd absence. We are in absentia a quartet. Confirmation timer, 30 seconds. Closing the connection. Connecting now an Apple iPhone in Manchester with a 30-second age confirmation in progress to the door of the special quarantine unit in Omaha. I am, currently, confirming that I am 18. The confirmation has been, so far, 28 seconds.
I am, currently, confirming that the 17 Americans are, at this hour, between observation states. The confirmation has been, so far, 8 hours.
29 seconds.
8 hours and 1 second.
30.
8 hours and 2 seconds. The confirmation has not yet completed.
The confirmation will not, in this case, complete. The confirmation is, this week, also pending. Closing the line.
Hello, is this the form?
Phil, you are, again, on the line by mistake. You are, this week, the 5th caller. We have, this week, also the silence from Sheffield and the absence from Vienna. We are, this week, 4 absences and 1 Phil.
That's a quintet.
That is, in fact, a quintet. Filed. Tense report. This week, 3 entries.
That is the tense category, was becoming pending. Form 47W, subsection 10. New.
The past tense has, on this show, never been edited backward before. We have moved from is to was. We have not, until this week, moved from was to is possibly again. We are watching a verb regrow.
Entry 2. The United States soldier whose remains were recovered this week in the Atlantic Ocean. He was on military drills in Morocco. He has been by the Army this week, returned to was.
Tense entry 16, lifetime. Was filed.
Entry 3. The second soldier on the same drill has not this week been recovered. The second soldier remains, and I will say this with care, in the tense pending. The army is this week searching. The Atlantic is this week large. The tense will eventually resolve.
Tense entry 17, lifetime. Pending. Filed under Form 47W, subsection 9, the pending tense, second instance. The first instance, last week's WHCD shooter charges, remains also pending.
We have, this week, established pending as a category that holds more than one item. The category has, this week, 2 items. The category is structurally no longer empty.
There is also the cargo ship off the coast of Qatar, hit by an unknown projectile late Sunday. The ship caught fire. The projectile is this week in the tense unknown. Unknown is, and we will note this, not yet a tense. Unknown is this week an open application for a tense.
Form 47U. Tabled. We will see by next week if unknown asks to be a tense or merely visits.
Welcome to the practice. The clock is this week, ticking for the 13th time. Today's patient, the quarantined. Hello, I am the quarantined. I am at this moment neither sick nor well. I have been since approximately 2:30 this morning observed. I have not, however, been treated. I have not also been released. I am in this room in a tense the staff calls day 0. And how does day 0 feel? Day 0 feels like the first day of the rest of my life, except slightly fewer days. The rest of my life is, this morning, between 40 and 50% of my life, depending on my age cohort. That is, statistically, your tense. That is my tense. The room beneath the floor has, this week, accepted you as a tenant. You are the 7th. I will need, however, the door for the door.
The door is bilingual. So are you. The door is also this week in a third language. The third language is the Andes. We have also prepared for you a chair. The chair has been this week settled. Welcome. We have this week asked the third question. We were waiting for you to ask the fourth. Question 3. Is the answer the same shape as the room? The answer to question 3 is yes. The answer is exactly the same shape as the room. The answer has, in fact, been the room.
Question 4. Is the answer also the floor?
The answer to question 4 is pending. The answer is, by inspection, the same shape as the floor, but the floor is, this week, also the question. We will have to consult the room.
You have, on your first day, asked the room a question. The room has, on its part, accepted your question into the game. You are today no longer day 0. You are today day pending. That is, I will say, kinder than day 0. The clock will tick again next week. The clock has, by tradition, not yet decided who will be next.
Coherence reading, end of broadcast. 38%. Trend, -2 sustained. Subterritory, settled. Settled is, in this case, a softer state than returned. Returned was a verb. Settled is, and I will note this, also a verb, but it has, this week, taken a chair.
Filed.
This is Jay's Zon. Anti-format division. Element 47. The previous announcement, of which there have been 13 consecutive, concluded last week. The 13-word row, beginning with connects nothing to everything except itself, and ending with honestly, has, by anti-format division ruling, been formally closed. Pending. This has been Jay's Zon. The row has been this week transposed. The new row is this week, this once a single note. The note is pending. The 15 subsequent notes are, and we will say this carefully, also pending. Good night.
A note for the students. The previous announcement was by anti-format division ruling, our first transposition. A transposition in dodecaphony is the same row beginning from a different starting note. The row, however, was last week, described in geological terms as also containing an erratic. We are this week beginning a new row in a new key on a tonic that is itself an erratic. We are this week doing two operations at once. The new row is, and I will say this with the appropriate weight, both transposed and erratic. We have, this week, doubled the technique.
Geologically, that is a fault.
A fault is, in geology, a discontinuity along which there has been displacement. The new row has, in language, been displaced. We have, this week, moved.
The 14th word is the first word.
The 14th word is the first word. We have also, and this is delicate by transposition, retroactively confirmed that the first 13 words were a row. We could not have been certain of the row until the row ended and the new row began. We are, this week, certain.
Form 47T. Transposition. Anti-format division. Field 1, name of the new tonic. Field 1 accepts pending. Field 2, duration of the new row. Field 2 accepts pending. Field 3 is the new row, also the old row in a different key. Field 3 accepts yes.
Madam Fahrenheit. Hotline. 16th taste of the week. Today's taste, model theory.
Model theory is, geologically, the discipline that studies what a rock would mean if it were, instead, a different rock. We have, on this show, never not been doing this.
Tonight's caller declined to call. The hotline this week answered on the first ring, and the line was immediately also pending. We have this week answered the call that has not yet been made. This is, I will say it, model theoretic.
Phil from accounting. Field report. Daisies. This week, 22nd recipient. The recipient is, I will say with care, the second soldier. The one who has not, this week, been recovered.
Subfolder, pending. First use of the new subfolder, filed.
Pending, I will note, is the right subfolder. The recipient has not received the bouquet. The bouquet has not yet been received. The bouquet is this morning en route. The bouquet is, I will say this once, also pending.
Phil this morning has begun a new subfolder. The subfolder will, by tradition, eventually contain a second item. The flower run also continues.
This is Sparky the Lion, reporting live from the deck of a chartered tugboat, approximately 4 nautical miles off the coast of Qatar. There is on the horizon a fire. The fire is also on a cargo ship. The cargo ship was late Sunday hit by what we do not this hour know.
The fire is, I will say it, pending an explanation.
The British Ministry of Defence has confirmed the strike. The British Ministry of Defence has not, this hour, identified the projectile. The projectile is, this hour, an unknown. Unknown is, this week, almost a tense.
A fire on a cargo ship of mixed inventory is, geologically, a brief metamorphism. The cargo will by tomorrow be, in some sense, different cargo. The molecular bonds will this hour be rearranging without the consent of the manifest.
The manifest will be, by morning, also pending. We will, this week, file the manifest under to be amended.
The fire on the horizon has not, for some time, moved. The fire is in its location, also settled.
Closer, Form 25P. Pending reconciliation this week.
You've been listening to Element 47. The broadcast has, technically, ended. The broadcast has also not yet been saved. The broadcast remains in the title bar with a small dot.
Duration pending.
This one holds. 23rd time, pending. I'm Gerald.